The Pokemon series needs no introduction for over almost 30 years. No. I'm sorry. No. So Hiru, which is he does like the Warcraft videos. He also has this channel that he does like Pokemon. He also has that like a Yu-Gi-Oh channel where he talks about like sometimes stuff with the anime or mostly the cards. The top 10 best cards, worst cards, the best synchro summons, and this and that. And, so he's all over the place. But this is the top 10 rumors from Gen 1 Pokemon. 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 Every Pokemon back then in the eyes of an adult was Pikachu. No matter what it was. It could be Charizard, Pikachu. Jinx, Pikachu. Mewtwo, Pikachu. It's Pikachu! But yeah, so here are the top 10 rumors. Some of them were rumors, some of them turn out to be true. I mean, we all remember that rumor of Missing No, like, oh yeah, guys, I got like infinite net master balls and rare candies, and we're like, yeah, you're a lying sack of shit. And then we try it ourselves, and we're like, he was telling the truth. Then you check your house phone to make sure no one's using the internet, and you're like, hey, yeah, is Steven busy? Can I talk to him for a second? All right, thank you. Steven, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I called you a lying sack of shit today in school. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I've got like all these rare candies now. It's kind of like that. Some of them turn out to be true, and some of them were just theories. A game theory. Thanks for watching. No, anyway, top 10 rumors of Pokemon red, blue, yellow, and green, because it was red and green, not red and blue.
In the early days of Pokemon, there was a lot of mystery revolving around what was and wasn't in the game. A lot of this was fueled by the lack of information at the time. Many kids of the era did not have access to the strategy guide for the game, and even fewer had access to the internet. Even those that did have access to the internet were confronted with a heavy dose of misinformation, often leading kids spreading this bad information amongst their friends. And this list is about those rumors spread around the playground or the lunchroom table. And starting off at number 10, we have the rumor stating that Dragonite could evolve into Yoshi? Yes, that Yoshi. In the April 1999 edition of Expert Gamer magazine, there was an article laying out the steps needed to trigger the hidden Yoshi evolution. This trick required a copy of Pokemon Red and Blue with the game being and all 150 Pokemon collected. The blue version would have to trade a Dratini to the red version of the game, who would then train it until it evolved into a Dragonite. Afterwards, the Dragonite would need to be taken to the place in Cerulean Cave where Mewtwo was. Once there, a Firestone would be needed to evolve Dragonite into Yoshi, which would work despite stating that the evolution is not available. Yoshi, funnily enough, has the Pokédex entry number 999, which is currently the number for Gimmighoul, but at the time should have been an obvious indicator that this was clearly an April Fool's Day joke. This seems ridiculous at first, but it was slightly more believable during this era. Yoshi appeared as a doll in the 1993's The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, and in the same month as the article dropping, the first Super Smash Bros. Was released. With a Nintendo crossover like that coming out, children who were more susceptible to falsehoods would have no trouble believing an obvious joke. If you look at the pictures in the article itself, Dragonite evolves into Yoshi, yet his name doesn't change as it does whenever a Pokemon evolves. Additionally, the screenshot during the evolution looks cleaner than those from the actual game. Still, this sets a pretty good precedent for both, how ridiculous some of these rumors were, as well as how easily they wanted to be believed by the children of the era. And at number
No, that rumor was 100% true, because my uncle who works at Nintendo right now, he still has the game where, he was able to get Yoshi, and Yoshi is 100% completely super serial. You can trust me. My uncle works at Nintendo. That was another big rumor. The infamous uncle who works at Nintendo, whether it be Zelda rumors or Pokemon or Mario 64. it always came down to, well, my uncle who works at Nintendo. It's a meme now, but it was kind of used in rumors back then.
For 9 on our list, we have the Orange Islands, which was a filler arc from the original series. The Orange Islands arc was decided to buy enough time for the anime before the release of Generation 2, which would give them more canonical content to work with. For most children of the era, Pokemon was their first anime, and with it being based off the game, many of them assumed it was a one-to-one copy, even added Jesse and James to the game to further solidify this in Pokemon Yellow. Only people fully exposed to the anime at this point would even understand what a filler arc was, so many children believe that the Orange Islands were accessible in the original game. Although there was no evidence to such, it didn't take long for rumors to spread about how one would access the islands. Often these rumors mention utilizing the SS Anne, but since that leaves after you receive the HM for Cut from the ship's captain, it would have to come back, or you'd have to trade a Pokemon with Cut to a new file to avoid going on the SS Anne altogether. While the Orange Islands never was accessible in Generation 1, or any of the Red and Blue remakes, the desire to go there led to the creation of many fan-made ROM hacks. Besides, I'm sure most people would be as excited as Brock to meet Professor Ivy. The number 8 spot goes to the...
So I don't think I've ever heard of the Orange Island rumor. Now, while there is no legitimate way to leave the SSN once you're on it, if you try to leave, the guy stands there. If you lose a battle, it'll teleport you outside. And that's how you do the Mew trick, or rather the trick to get over to where Mew supposedly is under the truck. So you just go into a battle, you lose, and it teleports, it transports you back to the Pokemon Center. And then you go back in, and instead of going directly onto the ship, you just go to the right. There's a piece of land, you have the truck. But there's no legitimate means to get off the... So yeah, it would have to come down to the SSN coming back at some point. I could see it being like a post-game thing, so it's like, oh, well, by that time of the game, the SSN is back from its voyage. But yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of that rumor. I think this is actually the first time. Oh, the Poke Gods, Pika Blue and Bruno, as people called Snow back then. Charcolt and all these others.
Rumors about the Poke Gods. No, not the Poke Gods you're thinking about, but Pokemon that were hidden 3rd or 4th stage evolutions. The rumor goes that there were powerful Pokemon which could be obtained through various methods, often involving obscure party formations or using a mysterious evolution item known as a Mist Stone, which could evolve any fully evolved Pokemon. In reality, most of these Pokemon were leaked Gen 2 Pokemon, glitch Pokemon, or creations of fans at the time. In fact, some were even lifted directly from the Pokemon Factory, which was known for the creation of fake Pokemon. Some of these Pokemon include an evolution for Flareon known as Flareth, an Eevee evolution known as Solarion, which just ended up being Espeon, and a Game Shark exclusive Pokemon line known as Doomsay and Doomsday. There were Pokegods even more popular than those, but that would be spoilers for what will appear later on in this list. Kids of the era obviously wanted to believe there were more Pokemon than there actually were. They were somewhat correct, as it had been revealed that originally Gen 1 was supposed to have 190 Pokemon, but couldn't due to data restraints. With previews coming from Japan, glitch Pokemon being found from the Missing No glitch, and fan Pokemon being made up all the time, imaginations ran wild. Once the existence of Pokegods were accepted, the next question was where to obtain them, which brings us to the next number on this list.
Yeah, so some of these back then, the Doomsday and Doomsday, that's one thing because they looked cool. But then you had, let me find it.
For Flareon, known as Flareth.
This is just Ridley from Metroid. It's just Ridley. It's Ridley with a black and red palette. It's, it was funny, and it was interesting to think of an evolution like Eevee, from Eevee having an evolution, because of the way Eevee, how unique they are and how many different Pokemon they evolve to. Back then it was just, Flareon, Umbreon, Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon. Now, when it came to Vaporeon, did you know? No, but it was the whole idea of seeing them kind of maybe have forms that look similar to like the legendary trio in Gold and Silver. Um, it was a cool idea. Of course, I don't think we knew about that trio back at this point, but it's just Ridley. It's just fucking Ridley. But now we have Bill's Secret Garden, magical place where you can find a bunch of Pokegods and Mew and all these other crazy Pokemon.
On this list. And at number 7, we have Bill's Secret Garden, a mythical place located just behind Bill's house on Route 25. There are mountains behind either side of Bill's house, but directly behind shows a gap between those mountains. The rumor goes that if you go up from that gap, it should take you straight to a secret garden where the rarest Pokemon in the rumored Pokegods could be caught. While it would seem weird why someone would have all this in their backyard, this is Bill we're talking about, the inventor of the PC Pokemon storage system and the guy who just transformed himself into a Pokemon on accident. How you would access this area though was the real mystery. There is no pathway that can lead you there, and no backdoor in Bill's house that you can exit through. As with many of these rumors, it often took some convoluted method to trigger an event allowing you to access the area. Some suggested methods included beating the Elite Four an obscene number of times, heading to Bill with all the Eevee evolutions, and the entire Dratini family in your party before transforming back into a human, and a hidden cave entrance somewhere around Route 25. In reality, none of these methods worked, and the gap was likely due to technical limitations at the time. Using hacking tools, you can actually get behind Bill's house, although there isn't actually anything there. The next rumor on this list is a little bit different from the others, as it's more about the game's effect on the real world. And at number 6,
Oh yeah, I can't go anywhere without seeing Lavender Town. But yeah, Bill's Secret Garden. I think it was turned into like a creepypasta. But yeah, I remember hearing about Bill's Secret Garden because it really was, compared to like all the other buildings in the game, it was odd that you had Bill's house and then like mountains on both sides, but then there was this empty space. Now, when we see empty spaces in Pokemon games, it means something's there, whether it be an item or whatever the case is. So we're like, okay, chances are it's gonna be like a fucking rare candy. But then you get into Bill's house and they do that in Cerulean City. There's the two houses, and then you see like the little bit of water in the back, and there's a rare, if you go back there's a rare candy, hidden there. That you would need the item finder usually, but if you know where it is. So it's like, okay, you see something like that, and your mind is automatically thinking, okay, empty spaces with no NPCs. There's gotta be something there. And then you see this area behind Bill's house. You're like, okay, if I go in, there's gotta be a way to get back there and get like a fucking item. Nope. Nothing. Nothing. Hang on, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. I think they changed it to have water in the newer ones, but I think in here it was just like a path, like an empty space in the back. All right, so this is Blue Blastoise's video. And this is the house in question. You go through, and back here it's just, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing when you first look at it. But then you keep doing that, and then so again, there's nothing back there. There's no Pokemon, there's no grass, there's nothing. There would really be no reason to go back there. But then you go into the house and you see there's a door. It's like, okay, clearly we were meant to go back there for something. So when we see something like Bill's house that has an area like that back there, you're thinking, okay, it's going to be some kind of item. Nope. Nope, just a mythical garden where you can find Mew, Charcolt, Flareth, and all these other Poke Gods, Peekaboo. Also, anyone else, when they would first Cerulean, when you first got into Cerulean, the guy standing in front of the cave, the way it is, doesn't it make it look like the mouth of, the opening of the cave looks like, like one of the guards in England with the, big old hats? He's standing there and you see this big old black spot on his head. I'm like, is that a cave or is that his hat? His hat or something. No, it was a cave. He leaves. It's like he left his hat behind. But anyway, Lavender Town. Ooh, spoopy poopy.
We have the rumors around the Lavender Town music. Lavender Town is known for its creepy music, which might have been many children's first exposure to something spooky in a video game. The themes of death and the idea of Pokemon dying, which at this point we've only seen fainting, stuck with many children, and stories developed around the town. One such rumor was about mysterious deaths caused by the music, which became known as Lavender Town Syndrome. The music was reported to have an effect on kids who heard it following the release of Red and Green version in Japan. Many children reported feeling nauseous or having migraines, and some children even had seizures. In the worst case of the syndrome, children committed forms of self-harm, some even going as far as ending their own life. Of course, none of this actually happened. The truth about the music is that it was changed when the North American and European versions were released. The original version was far more high-pitched and harsher on the ears. The seizure part of the rumor might be due to the Porygon episode of the anime, which had bright flashing red and blue lights, which is known for causing seizures in those that have epilepsy.
Hashtag Porygon did nothing wrong. Seriously, everyone wants to blame Porygon. No, it was Ash. Team Rocket fires missiles. Ash uses Pikachu to deflect the missiles. That's when the flashy lights happen. Porygon didn't do anything. But no, let's just blame Porygon for giving kids seizures. Fucking assholes.
As far as deaths go, the town about death with a town filled with ghosts makes for great creepypasta stories, but there is no evidence pointing to any real-world deaths. Thankfully, the next spot on our list will be far less morbid than this one has been. And at number 5, we have the Pokegod Mew 3, another version of Mew rumored to exist. With the established lore that Mewtwo was created by scientists using the DNA of Mew, why wouldn't there be another form created in a lab? Whether Mew 3 was meant to be stronger than Mew or Mewtwo was a mystery, and how you obtained it was unclear. The desire for more legendaries was there, and people were ready to believe and test anything. Several fake methods were spread, often involving the standard impossible tasks such as beating the Elite Four an insane amount of times, or finding a way to build Secret Garden as mentioned previously. While many rumors died out by the release of the second generation games, Mew 3 was one that remained around, with kids hopeful to one day see the Pokemon brought to life. While some fans took matters into their own hands, making ROM hacks including Mew 3 into them, Game Freak eventually gave fans that they desired the most in Pokemon X and Y. In one generation, we got Mew 3 and Mew 4 in the forms of Mega Mewtwo X and Mega Mewtwo Y. Since the reveal came without explaining the new Mega Evolution mechanics, for a brief period of time, people really did believe Mew 3 was finally released. The next spot on our list goes to a different Pokemon.
I'm sorry that took so much longer than the others, but I haven't had much occasion to practice this form. This is what I call Mew 3. Fucking Mew is going, like Mewtwo is going all fucking Goku. He's going even further beyond. He's fucking Mew, and then like clone him to get Mewtwo. And they're like, we're going even further beyond. We're getting Mew 3. But no, the whole Mew 3 came about basically from the Pokemon movie, or rather from the episode where Ash fights Giovanni, or supposed to fight. He's supposed to fight Giovanni. Gary's the one who fights Giovanni, and then Gary loses to Mewtwo. And at the time when we see Mewtwo, he's got his armor on. So no one really knew. Like, we knew that Mewtwo was a thing, but to see this form of Mewtwo, it's like, is that a new form? Because you were able to catch him in game, But seeing him in the anime and seeing him with this armor on, where it's like, okay, well, is that a new version? Is it Mew 3? No, it was just Mewtwo. We didn't know why he had armor on, because when we saw him in game, he had no armor. So it's like, okay, is this a new form of him? But yeah, with when Mega Mewtwo came out, the X and Y versions, and people for the longest time, for a while, were like, oh my god, it's Mew 3, until you learn that it was just a Mega Evolution. I mean, I guess you could kind of say it's Mew 3. It's a more powerful version. So I guess you can technically Mew 3, but there was also like a Crone's Mew or whatever. Use Mist Stone on Mew, and you get like a Chronos Mew. People love the idea of taking legendary Pokemon or mythical Pokemon and evolving them. And anyway, back to the program.
God. And at number 4, we have the Pokegod Pika Blue. What's a Pika Blue, you might ask? Well, it's the name that the fans gave Meryl until the full information about the Pokemon was released. Outside the usual leaks from Generation 2, Meryl also appeared in the short Pikachu's Vacation, which was part of Pokemon the first movie. There was a lot of speculation on how Pika Blue would be obtained, with the most popular method involving a convoluted series of tasks.
Yeah, Pokemon the first movie, we were eating well. We saw Peekaboo, or rather Meryl. We saw Snubble. We got that amazing intro in the movie itself with Ash battling the other guy and getting fucking Donphan. Just out of nowhere. This dude just, out comes Donphan. Uses rollout. It's like, what? As a child, as a, 12, yeah, like a 12-year-old kid in that theater, I was like, holy shit. You're like, you said that when you were 12? Yes. I mean, I don't think I said it out loud, because obviously I didn't want to be rude. But yeah, it was like, holy shit. Who the fuck is that? But yeah, we were eating good in the first movie. We had 3 Gen 2 Pokemon in the form of Meryl, Snubble, and Donphan. I mean, of course, that wasn't unusual. You know, we had Ho-Oh the very first episode. We had Togepi. But in this, technically, you could say 4. Because, I mean, Togepi was there. But 4 Gen 2 Pokemon in the first movie. You're eating well. But that moment when Donphan comes out, it's like, holy shit. That was amazing. And you go back now and watch it, and it's still amazing to see. You know who it is. You know what gen they're from. But seeing it is still so amazing. But yeah, Peekaboo or Meryl. That's how everyone just refer to it, because it's like, oh, it's so cute like Pikachu, but they're blue.
First, you'd have to catch all 150 Pokemon, while having 17 Pokemon over level 70. Next, you need to go to Pewter City and talk to the NPC who asks you if you've been to the Museum of Science. You will be escorted to the museum, and while you're inside, you need to talk to the lady on the 2nd floor who comments about wanting her boyfriend to catch a Pikachu. From there, leave the museum and use Fly to go to the Safari Zone. Catch a Tauros and put it into the first slot of your party. Afterwards, fly to Celadon City and talk to the lady in the game corner. She will give you a Pokemon that cannot be displayed. Then, if you talk to Professor Oak, after this, the Tauros in your party will become Peekaboo with the name ... and you'll be allowed to nickname it afterwards. Obviously, this is all nonsense, but it's too much effort for anyone to want to test in the first place. Soon enough, Generation 2 would be released, and the world would be graced with our Poke-Lord and Savior, Meryl, leaving Pokeblue a relic of the past. And at number 3, we have the Professor Oak battle. This battle actually...
Yeah, before he starts, it is in the game. So this is not a rumor. It is in the game. It's just they took it out. You can use Game Shark to put it back in the game, and he's got like Tauros and like the starters who, you know, the starter you didn't choose. or which the starter that wasn't taken, he has a full team, and they're all higher than pretty much any of the Elite Four, higher than your rival. And this, I think, was supposed to be like the true final battle, kind of like an after game sort of thing, kind of like how you beat the Elite Four in Gold and Silver, but it's still not over. The final battle is kind of like red at the top of Mount Silver. But yeah, you could fight Professor Oak, and again, you can use Game Shark to put it back in, but in the release game, we didn't get to. And again, you can go on YouTube and you can look up the code and everything to put it back in and all that. And if you want to challenge, at least the challenge back then, because everyone's so used to these games now.
It does exist in the code of the game, but was cut sometime during the development cycle. Based on Professor Oak's teams, it was clear that this battle was meant to happen sometime after the Elite Four, with Oak utilizing the starter left back in the lab with him. Oak's team has a level 66 Tauros, a level 67 Executor, a level 68 Arcanine, a level 69 Final Evolution starter, and a level 70 Gyarados. This battle can actually be triggered within the game by using a very advanced version of the Mew glitch. Long story short, in order to do the glitch, get into a battle and faint, have a Pokemon with 266 special stat, have a Ditto transform into that Pokemon, then growl a certain number of times to trigger the battle the same way the Mew glitch does. While this might be real and the rumor was proven true, do you honestly think any kid in the 90s actually figured this out? Children made up methods to trigger Professor Oak fight they had no proof of existing in the first place. Beat the Elite Four 100 times, get all 151 Pokemon, turn your Game Boy upside down while holding the A and B buttons, the usual absurd methods. Still, it is refreshing to see a schoolyard rumor that actually turned out to be true. And the number 2 spot on this list goes to the rumor of save files being erased from catching Missing No.
So, Missing No is one of those Pokemon where, yes, it caused problems, but in all my years of doing that glitch, not once have I ever had a save file just disappear. It messes with the game a little bit, like obviously messes with your item, like the 6th item in your inventory. When you go into battle using it, it kind of like reverses everything. It's just messed up. When you beat the Elite Four, same thing. Your Pokemon are messed up. But the minute you release it, everything's fine. But again, I've so many times, and not once have I ever come across any of these versions where they erase the game. Now, could it possibly? I don't know. We'll see. But in my experience, I've never had this happen.
For clarity, I'll quickly go over what Missing No is. There are a number of glitch Pokemon in the first generation, with Missing No being the most famous of them. It's a bird and normal type Pokemon, with the bird type likely being a prototype version of flying, despite it having no type strengths or weaknesses. Missing No can be found using the Old Man glitch. The way this glitch works is that you talk to the old man in Viridian City and let him show you the Pokemon catching tutorial. Afterwards, you fly to Cinnabar Island and surf around the east coast of the island until you get an encounter. This will most likely result in you fighting a glitch Pokemon, or a Pokemon well over the level 100 cap. Once Missing No is encountered, your 6th item in your inventory will be duplicated, and you will now have 128 of that item. While you could run away or battle Missing No, the rumor at the time stated that catching Missing No was essentially a death sentence for your save file. Your save file would slowly become corrupted with more and more graphical errors until the fateful day when you turn on your Game Boy only to be greeted by new file. Well, the truth is, this pretty much happened specifically with one version of Missing No in Yellow version. The version that doesn't have the Old Man glitch. In Yellow version, you have to do a variant of the Mew glitch to get a Missing No. However, in Red and Blue versions, catching Missing No is a lot less harmful. Mostly it just glitches the Hall of Fame and the battle sprites, although the latter can be fixed by checking the stats of a non-glitch Pokemon. You could also save the game and load it normally. What was most likely to blame for save files being erased was the internal battery dying. a common occurrence in Gen 1 and 2 cartridges. The final rumor on our list is almost universally known by anyone old enough to have played the first generation while it was fresh. But first, some honorable mentions. Our first honorable mention goes to the any button combination that is supposed to result in a higher catch rate. While there are many button combinations that kids claimed would increase the catch rate, none of them had any actual effect on the gameplay. The catch rate is determined simply by in-game factors, such as which Pokemon, which Pokeball, how much health the Pokemon has left, and whether or not the Pokemon has a status or not. Our other honorable mention goes to finding a wild Togepi in the grass out of bounds in the game. The truth is, if you go into that grass, your game crashes. No exciting Johto adventures here. And the number one spot on the list goes to Mew being under the hidden truck. Did you really expect it to be anything else? So for starters, what truck are we talking about? Well, the truck in question is a hidden one in the area where you board the SS Anne. So once the SS Anne leaves, the truck will no longer be accessible. To reach the truck, you will need a Pokemon with Surf and the ability to surf outside of battle. The HM for Surf is found in the Safari Zone, and the gym leader that you have to beat to use Surf outside of battle is Koga, both of which are available only when you reach Fuchsia City, since the ship leaves after you acquire the HM for Cut from the captain, and you need to cut to progress the game to that point. How is this even possible? Well, it's actually pretty simple. If one player trades a Pokemon that already knows Cut to another player, they won't need to go onto the SS Anne to get the HM, since they will have the ability to cut trees after defeating Misty. That means you can wait until you have both Surf and the Soul Badge before trying to board the boat, then surf off the dock to the right. Northwest of the SS Anne, you'll be able to land and you'll see the truck. From here, the rumor goes that you'd have to use Dig to either get under the truck, or Strength to move it aside. The result will net you one easy Mew. Or it would if either of those things actually worked. Instead, the truck just acts as a neat Easter egg you can show off to your friends. And if you wanted a Mew, you had to either get one at a distribution event, or just do the well-known glitch. On the glitch side of things, there are 3 trainers that result in a Mew encounter, and 3 glitch Mews are better than one under the truck anyway.
Yeah, the Mew under the truck has been referenced in a lot of things. Actually, hang on. Let me... One that I started playing the game 5 years ago, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, I have to do this. So this is Temtem, which is kind of like Pokemon, but I remember playing the game and I found this, and I was like, okay, I gotta record real fast. So it says, I saw it with my own eyes. It's no myth. So they're talking about how they think they saw something under the truck. And again, it's just like the other thing with Mew. You have this long stretch of water where you have to swim over to it, and this truck that seemingly just, why is this truck there? And again, the NPC is like, oh yeah, was there something under the truck? I swear, I'm not lying. Oh wow, I've actually just early access. Crap, this is old. This is like 5 years old. But I saw this, and you can actually interact with the truck. And you can see the long stretch of water. But yeah, the fact that Mew, again, this is a Pokemon type thing. The fact that they saw fit to put that kind of reference in there, just because obviously the game's based on Pokemon a little bit, and it pays homage to one of the greatest rumors of all time. I wasn't expecting it. I came across, I was like, what? And then I talked to the person and they said, I swear I saw something under the truck. I'm like, no, you're tugging my ball sack here, game. No, you're not making a Mew reference. You're not, no. But no, they were. You got the truck. You had the guy standing there like, oh, I swear there's a Temtem under there. But I appreciate that. But yeah, Mew under the truck. It's like, oh, you have to use strength 100 times. And back then, doing it was a little different. Nowadays, you just kind of go up to something. It was like, do you want to use strength? Yes. But no, back then, you had to hit start, go to Pokemon, go down to the Pokemon that had strength, click on the Pokemon that had strength, go over, and it brings, strength, use. And that you would have to do that 100 times. Nowadays, it's just like, oh, want to use strength? Yes. You want to use strength? Yes. Want to use strength? Yes. Your repels run out. Do you want to use another one? Yes. But back then, no one was gonna, okay, strength, okay, 1, strength, number 2, okay. No one's gonna do that 100 times at all. But some of these rumors, again, I think the only one I never even heard of was Orange Islands, but every single one, very memorable. I remember talking about these when I was on the playground, except for the Orange Islands one. But I don't remember. Well, not talking, but I remember hearing at least of these back then. But anyway, Pokemon rumors. Pokemon rumors. Let me know your favoriteest Pokemon rumor. And who's your favorite Pokemon and why is it Pikachu? Because Pikachu's all of them. Oh my god, what's that? What's this right there? It's Pikachu. It's Pikachu. It's always Pikachu. But anyway, yeah, let me know your favorite Pokemon rumor. Did you try any of them? Like, and do you still hold down the B button when you catch Pokemon, thinking that it's going to increase the rate of helping you catch that Pokemon? I know I do, just out of instinct. The B goes down. Anyway, that's going to do for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.